Hello there. In this video, you'll learn what's at the heart of all personal, team and organisational transformation. An idea so simple yet so powerful that when you realise its importance, you'll notice its presence or its absence everywhere. And part of you probably won't like what you're about to hear. This part of you may find many reasons to make what you hear me say wrong or invalid. But that's exactly the reason it's so important. So let's get going. Remember the last time you worked on a team that you would describe as somewhat dysfunctional? Meetings were a waste of time, no one supported each other, lots of hidden agendas, no one taking ownership or accountability, no one taking any initiative, lots of blaming going on, and low levels of trust with mediocre results. You probably didn't enjoy the experience very much, and it was probably quite stressful and exhausting for you. In those situations, it's the absence of one thing that leads to that dysfunctional behaviour. And that one thing is responsibility. Responsibility is always at the heart and the source of high performance. I'm sorry if that sounds simplistic, but it's true. Without a high level of responsibility within yourself and within your team, you will get some form of dysfunction and probably mediocre or poor results. With a high level of responsibility, you will achieve superior results. The word responsibility is often defined in terms of duty and obligation. Now, whilst that may be part of it, how I'm defining it here is slightly different. By responsibility, what I'm talking about is you and I being the cause or the source of all our experiences of life. And not being responsible means being at the effect of your experiences of life. Imagine being the cause of everything that happens in your life. Upbringing, education, relationships, your career, health, wealth and happiness. The cause of it all. Now, most people don't want to even consider that much responsibility, which is why most people spend all their time moaning about things. It's their boss's fault, their co-workers' fault. It's the system or the government. It's their upbringing. Anything else but them. So let me make this real for you. Remember the last time you walked out of a meeting feeling that it was a complete waste of your time. Nothing was resolved, a decision wasn't made, and issues were just left to be discussed next time at the next meeting. You blame the guy who runs these meetings. He doesn't know what he's doing, and the people at that meeting just sit there and they don't say anything. And this happens every single month. In other words, you are placing the cause of those bad meetings on other people, not yourself. Now here's some questions that you could ask instead. What's your part in this situation? What can you learn here about yourself? When you ask yourself those questions, you may realise that you've never given any feedback to the guy that runs the meeting, that you also haven't said very much yourself during the meetings, and that actually you run your own meetings in a similar way, so that the people who come to those probably feel the same way as you do, that it's a waste of their time too. And after you realise those things, you could then take some action. You could give feedback to the guy who runs the meetings. You yourself could speak up more at that next meeting and make some suggestions of how to improve it. And you could ask those people who come to your meetings how you could make them even better. You could take more responsibility, learn something and take action. And in doing so, you'd have more power. Most people don't want to take more responsibility. They'd rather sit through all those boring meetings, not saying anything, and just complaining afterwards. Here's the biggest signpost to where you're not taking responsibility or where you could take more. Notice where in your life you are complaining about something. Other people, your job, your partner, your kids, your health, your life. If you find yourself regularly complaining about something, then right there is an opportunity for you to take more responsibility. So when you notice yourself complaining about something, ask yourself those questions. What's my part in this? What can I learn here? Or even, why have I created this? Let me ask you two more questions. Who's been at every upsetting or difficult situation in your life? Who's been there every time something went wrong in your life? Just maybe you had something to do with it. When you take full responsibility for all your thoughts, feelings, actions, behaviours, decisions and results, then you have power. Power to choose, power to change, and power to make stuff happen. When you avoid taking responsibility for your experience of life, you don't have any power. You become a victim. Stuff just happens to you. Power is accepting all those fears and anxieties and acting anyway. It's about making decisions and taking actions, ending things when they need to be ended, and accepting others for how they are, not how you'd rather they be. Responsibility is not blaming others, not being the victim, not complaining, not thinking you deserve a free ride, not thinking that life should be fairer, not being jealous or envious of others, and not being cynical. In other words, accepting reality as it is and working with it. A high level of responsibility looks like you choosing your responses moment by moment, rather than just reacting and looking for causes elsewhere. This starts with you noticing what's happening in you, your thoughts, your feelings, and the actions you're about to take. And then asking yourself those same questions. What's my part in this? What can I learn here? Or even, why have I created this? Thinking and then choosing how you will respond, and then taking action over and over again. High performance and personal, professional, and organizational transformation is and always will be about you and I taking more responsibility. Of course, our egos and our stories about ourselves would rather we didn't do this. They'd much rather this wasn't true or valid. It loves us being the victim, not taking responsibility, not having power, and therefore not having to take any action, lying low, being right, avoiding those difficult conversations, denying things, and blaming others. Because there's always a benefit, a payoff to avoiding responsibility. We get to be right. We get to justify our actions, and we get to avoid situations that may feel uncomfortable for us. Now, having said all that, I guess that leaves you with two options. Go on as you have been, telling yourself that it's not your fault, telling yourself the same story over and over again about how it's their fault or the circumstances or some other reason, and getting the results that you've been getting. Or you can choose to accept that at least some of what you've heard and seen here is true, that you are responsible for your experience of life, and then choosing to become the master of your life and not the victim, choosing responsibility moment to moment. By taking more responsibility, you'll have more power and more freedom. When you know that you're responsible for your experiences of life, then you don't waste any time or energy looking for other things and other people to blame for anything. And after a while, this just becomes automatic. Something happens and you're immediately asking yourself, what was your part in it? And then you're looking for how you can change or improve the situation. And when this becomes a habit, just watch your performance and the performance of your team improve significantly. So please download the worksheet next to this video and spend just a few minutes discovering where in your life you're probably not taking responsibility, and therefore where you can start to make progress and improve performance. Thank you for watching this video.